All right, this is going to be a really short lesson on the ambient slash diffuse property, which controls the blending of the ambient and diffuse shading on the hairs themselves. Okay, we're going to now that we've got the color part worked out, we're going to move up. Now, I'm not going to talk about tip fade and override geometry shader yet, because that's going to have to do more with the mental ray renderer. We're now going to get into the ambient diffuse slider here. So let's take some kind of before we move on renders here. Let me go ahead and take this and store it. Okay, so we'll just store this image. It was an 8-second render. And what I'm going to do is go into my ambient diffuse here and set this to 0. So what we're saying is we want no diffuse shading, only ambient, which is the flat color. Okay, we'll go ahead and re-render this. All right, so now this has absolutely no diffuse information. Now, I'm not going to go back one because that had a little bit of diffuse. I'm going to now crank this all the way back up to 1 and re-render this frame. Okay, so here's what we've got going for us. This is 100% diffuse and no ambient. This is 100% ambient, no diffuse. And this is a variation of 0.3. So very subtle. Okay, and depending on how you're going to light and render this, you may want to set this to all ambient and let occlusion go in and do the self-shadowing for you. Okay, if you need to have a little bit of shading in there automatically, you can turn on a little bit of that diffuse to give you some of that shading based off the lights there. So let's just start off with maybe something like 0.4 and render that. All right, definitely. Now we're starting to get somewhere. So this is without any diffuse, and this is with 0.4. And you can see it's now added just a nice little bit of shading to the hair to start to give us a little bit more of a natural look. Okay, and that's available right here. These next attributes that we'll talk about have more to do with the highlights of the hair themselves, and we're going to get into those next.